Okay, so have you ever noticed how just a few letters at the end of a word can completely change its job in a sentence? It's almost like there's a secret code hidden in plain sight.
I mean, how does that happen? It might seem like a really small change, but it's actually a huge shift in what that word is. Today, we are going to crack the code that makes all of this linguistic magic possible.
And this is our decoder ring. A suffix is this powerful little instruction that gets attached to a word, and it tells it exactly what job to do in a sentence. Now, here's the really cool part. You are already an expert at using some of the most common suffixes out there, and you probably don't even think about it. You do this stuff every single day automatically. You add an S to a word, and you know who is talking. You add an ED, and you know when it happened. These are grammar suffixes. They're just making these little adjustments, to things like tense, but they don't change the word's core identity. A verb is still a verb. But then there are these other suffixes that do something way more dramatic. We're not talking about tiny tweaks here, we're talking about giving the word a whole new career path. This is where it gets really interesting. We're taking an action, something you actually do, and we're turning it into a thing, a concept that we can talk about and analyze. Now, there are a ton of suffixes in English, but we're going to zero in on 3 of the most powerful ones. If you can master these, you are going to have a huge advantage in how you read and understand the language. All right, first up, we've got meant. This is a classic suffix that's absolutely fantastic at turning verbs into nouns. So, from now on, when your brain spots meant at the end of a word, that should be a really clear signal. You're looking at the result or the process of some kind of action. And this is a perfect example of that transformation. The action of governing, that's a verb, it becomes the institution or the process of government, which is a noun. You see? You've turned the doing into the thing. Okay, let's keep going. Our next noun maker is ants, which you'll also see it pop up as ents. This one is a little more flexible. It can still signal an action or a process, just like meant, but it can also describe a state of being or a specific quality that something has. For example, reverence describes a state. It's the state of having deep respect for something. But then you have performance, and that's a process, the process of doing something, like acting or singing. See how that works? The same suffix can create 2 pretty different kinds of nouns. All right, time to switch gears a little. Suffixes don't just make nouns. One of the most useful suffixes out there is an adjective maker. It creates words that describe things. So, let's meet the suffix able. When you tack this onto a word, it tells you that a thing is either worthy of an action or good for that action. This is a perfect way to see it. We take the action love, and we transform it into the adjective lovable. And what does that mean? It means something is worthy of being loved. A lovable puppy has that quality that just makes you want to love it. And here's that other meaning. If we take the verb enjoy and we add our suffix, we get enjoyable. An enjoyable movie isn't necessarily worthy of respect, but it is good for creating the feeling of enjoyment. It's good for having fun. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, you've just been handed a key. You can now decode a massive part of the English language. This isn't just some boring grammar rule, it's a vocabulary superpower. And here's why it's so powerful. Just by recognizing these 3 endings, you can figure out a word's job and its general meaning, even if you have never seen that word before in your life. You'll spot a word ending in mont, and your brain will just know, okay, that's a noun, and it's about a process. And that's really the point here. This is a tool you can use to build your vocabulary and seriously boost your reading comprehension. You can now literally see the architecture inside the words themselves. So now that you know this secret code, you're going to start seeing it everywhere, I promise. So my question to you is, what other patterns are you going to start noticing? Because believe me, the end of the word is really just the beginning.